listen over. You a queen when I less than I'm a gozy. Owamie, Owamie. Owamie, Owamie. Owamie, Owamie. Owamie, Owamie. Hey, hey, hey. Girl, you're such a powerful woman.
Hi ninjas, how are you doing? It's your girl Owamie, and welcome back to my channel. If it's the first time joining me, it's definitely welcome. Please do make sure that you subscribe and obviously hit the bell. I absolutely love you. Now today is part 2 from obviously the part 1 that was uploaded yesterday. If you have not watched that one, please do make sure that you go and watch it, just so that you can best understand, obviously, because this is a continuation. Now, I'm not doing these videos because I'm trying to expose anyone. I'm not even telling you guys every single thing. I'm just telling you guys some of the stuff that obviously come to my mind. And this is just to show you guys the amount of fight that me and my sisters have had to go through, the amount of abuse that me and my sisters have had to go through, that we are still getting abused within the justice system. For some of you guys that do not know, we have been in court for over 2 years for maintenance against my father, right? Now, the one that is obviously going to court is my baby sister, but she is, of course, advised by me because I'm tired. I also want to just live my life, guys, you know. But anyway, from yesterday, we were getting to, the 23rd of August 2013. This is the day that my mother passed away. It's a very difficult day for me, obviously, as you can imagine. And yeah, it's a very difficult day for me. Not having two parents, but only having one supportive parent, and having that supportive parent be the one to die was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Ever. Now, mind you guys, I'm the firstborn of 3. So I feel like the day that my mother passed, I not only mourned my mother, but I also mourned my childhood, I had just turned 23. So I feel like my process got jumped. I moved from being, a 22-year-old to a 23-year-old that has so many responsibilities that I never signed up for, that I never ever wanted, But anyway, the 23rd of August, yeah. I can't really get into that day, but she passed away, and it was on a Friday, and I remember I was very scared. I was very, very scared. I was just scared, guys, of the future. I was scared of everything, We obviously, everyone had to deal with her loss in their own different ways. I remember when I was told that she passed, I really just wanted to go to my grandmother, my mother's mother, because she was still alive. And that's exactly what I did. I was driving a Kia Picanto at that time. I was told I'm not allowed to drive. My grandmother, who is my father's mother, I won't lie, she really tried to be there for me. But I don't know. I feel like at that time, the only person that I felt like was feeling the same pain in my mind at that time, or someone that I just felt like I could go to, was my mother's mother, who's my grandmother. And so that's exactly what I did. She was struggling, she just went to bed and slept, and my aunt it was really just something that was very sad, Now, mind you guys, as I'm saying, she passed away on a Friday. We were unable to see her up until a Monday. That Monday, we went to the we went to the mortuary in the hospital. And we had to take her to, I think there were papers that needed to be signed. We had to, obviously, the family had to see that it's her before she was taken to the mortuary. And I remember, like, walking in, I was shocked. Now, remember, I was a nursing student at that time, so I had seen deceased people before, but this just something very different, seeing that person and that person be your mother. I just remember the first thing that I saw was her feet were up like that, obviously. And there were so many emotions that came to me when we went out. I do remember that I almost fainted because I did not have strength. I remember I dropped a bit, and my brother is the one that actually carried me and went to the car. It was a very difficult day, that was on a Monday. Now, I can't remember if it was a Monday or it was a Tuesday. Well, there were certain things that happened when my mother passed that I'm sure I will share one day. I'm just not comfortable yet. And so we had to go to the doctor that had been my mother's doctor to actually, like, obviously talk about that and everything. And I do remember we did go home. The following day, if I'm not mistaken, I might be mixing the days, guys, but remember, I was a 23-year-old, scared, confused. I did not know what was going on. But I do remember that when we went to the to the high court. I don't know if it's the high court. My father knew where to go. Obviously, he was an adult, so he might have done his research or asked someone, and he knew where we were to go. So we were being led by him. We were in his car. We would be going to everywhere that needed to go. Now, mind you guys, my mother was a nurse. She was working. So there was a lot of different stuff that were obviously happening, right? Sharp. So I do remember when we went, they told us that my mother did not have a will and she had no beneficiaries that she had nominated. Now that was a very huge blow for me and my sisters, because my mom always told us that she did beneficiaries, she nominated, and she would always say she gave Ryan's mom more money than all of us. And she was like, it's because I know that, she's more careful with money and she has a soft heart. If you guys finish your money, she will definitely give you guys. She was like, she don't trust me. She don't trust my younger sister because we are the vandals that will child the money and not give the other one, So she would always say this, and she would always say that I'm telling you guys so that when I die, you guys don't think that I just loved her more than I loved you guys, and all that. And we all understood, literally, because my sisters and I have always been very close. So even if she had given everything to one sister, we all would not have fought or anything, because we knew we were all gonna share the equal amount. You understand? So when we got there, obviously that was a shock. And I remember it was my father and my two sisters and I, so it's the four of us, including the guy that has to do the I don't know, they call it what, the executrix or something. Now, he asked to say, okay, who do you guys want to be the one to handle the whole estate? Now, we're all quiet. Now, mind you, of course, in normal circumstances, it's not even a matter of question. Like, we still have a parent right here, so it's normal that it's going to be him. But we are all sitting here and we're looking at each other because we know our parent ain't it, honey. Okay, this old man is not the one. He's not the old man like other old men. Okay, this one is different. So we were just looking at each other to a point where, guys, that guy actually saw what was happening and he was like, listen, you can actually nominate more than one, so you can have two people. And that was when we were all like, yeah, it will be my father and I as the firstborn. Like, literally, my sisters knew that at least with me they could trust. And I knew that at least with me I could trust that at least there would be some sort of support of whatever, because we didn't know what was going to happen. So that's how I don't know if it's the executrix or whatever, but the letter from the high court, when it came out, it said that every single thing that belonged to my mom, basically my father and I are the ones that are gonna oversee everything. So down to the last cent, I have to know about it and I have to sign for it. So without my signature, my father cannot get anything from my mother's thingy, because it has to be the two of us, right? And we were comfortable with that, obviously. Now, I did not know that my father was going to go to my mother's workplace to collect money, which he did. Did he give Me or any of my sisters any money from that? No. No, he didn't. He did not do that. Okay. I only found out about this years later when now, we were now going up and down to try find out what was going on, and that was last of last year, we'll get to that. Then obviously, there was also this other amount that was in, I can't remember if it was Old Mutual or if it was, there's this other institution, man. I can't remember, but I do remember that the amount was just a little under 15,000 rands, or if not a little bit more. And I remember my mom would always talk about that money to say, I've got this money that I put aside, blah, blah, blah. And so I also remember my father came to me and he said, this was now later, right, after the funeral and everything. And he said to me that, please sign here so that I can go and get this money. I will call you. Because I remember I was about to go back. I think I was going back to school. So I was like, okay, I signed. I knew how much it was at that time. Because remember now, obviously, it's been over 10 years ago. I waited for my father's call, guys. That old man never called. He got that signature from me, right? So that he could go get the money from there. Now, mind you guys, if we are half and half, it means, yes, one can sign. So that we can sign there or one can sign and then he goes there and gets the money. But I'm entitled to half of that because we're both the executors of the estate, right? Did he send me any? No. Now, it would have been a very different story if it was a matter of my father was such a great father to my other sisters and he's using that money to give them at least a proper life, a nicer life. Though, okay. I didn't ask because, first of all, I did not want fights. To tell you that I have begged for peace in this household is an understatement. But anyway, before then, obviously on I think it was on a Monday, maybe it was on a Tuesday. I sat down with my dad and I was like, Dad, can I please ask you for something? Our mom passed very young. We were also still very young. My mother never got to meet any of her grandkids. And so I was like, can we please actually hire a photographer or videographer? Because remember, guys, this was years ago. So that we could actually get a video for my mother's funeral, And he said, okay, that's fine. I remember I actually went and I got the investigation, or rather got the prices. And I think it was only 1,200. If I'm not mistaken. The guy used to take videos and I think he used to charge more for weddings. But because funerals, a funeral is not something you plan for months because you don't know someone is going to pass. So his price were a bit cheaper when it came to like funerals. I think it was like 1,200. And I remember I told my dad and he said, okay, we'll talk about it. Now, first of all, let me tell you something. When it came to my mother's funeral, money was not a problem. My mother had clubs that she was playing that paid a lot of money. A lot. And I don't know why people do this, but when they go to like a rich family, right? Like quote unquote, like people thinking you're rich, they will always give more because I think maybe they expect Uri, when we have a problem as well, these people are rich, they're going to give us money. So people gave money a lot. And on top of that, there are monies that my father went to collect at my mother's workplace. There was a lot of money that was there. That's what I'm saying. To a point where, if I'm not mistaken, 2 cows were killed at my mother's funeral to feed the people Kalogu so that the world can know this is a rich family, Lala. You get, okay? So, obviously I was talking about the video. I do remember that when we went to choose my mother's casket, or rather coffin, right? Someone in the family sat me down and I'll forever be grateful to her for doing that. And she was like, let me tell you something. Your mother had a lot of clubs. There's a lot of money that your mother got. And no, this is not from my mother's side of the family, from my father's side of the family. I know you will never know who it is. But this lady sat me down and said that you're the firstborn and you need to make sure that your mother is laid to rest in a proper way. I know you're still young, but this is the time you have to put on your big girl panties, And she basically said that do not allow them to just put your mother in any coffin because they will try cheapskate it will be embarrassing. Just make sure that you get your mother a proper casket. And I remember I had that in the back of my mind. When we went there, the coffin that wanted to be chosen, no offense, obviously a coffin is a coffin, but I felt my mother was working. Like, why should she be laid to rest in something that looks and is cheap? No, it shouldn't be like that. So I remember the casket that I chose. It wasn't a coffin, it was an actual casket, and it was not cheap, yes. And I remember when my father there, he started talking about, no, but look at the price for that. Like, guys, I started crying. Tears. I'm like, no, this is the one. I was like, if there's a point and a time where I'm gonna play spoiled brat, it's right now, because I'm not gonna have my mother get laid to rest with something that is questionable. And I do remember, like, okay, because first of all, remember the reputation, kaloko. People cannot come here and see me crying over the fact that we don't have money to bury my mother in an actual casket, which is this one, because of that and that. And then after that, I do remember, I think that there was a questioning of money, and the difference between the one that was wanted and the one I wanted, I can't remember how much it was, but I was like, I will pay that balance. But I never did, because why should I? Because there was money there. But anyway, even with the casket, even with the tombstone, my sister's raised mom is the one that chose that one, and that was fine. Shabu, everything was done. Now, on a Thursday, that was when we went to Thando. We had to go and buy the outfits that my mother was going to be put on, and also buy the outfits that we were going to wear for the funeral. And I remember... I'm going to just go through this one without emotions, because I really do not want to cry. But I remember in the car, it was me, my sisters, and my uncle and my dad. So it was the 5 of us in the car, right? So I basically asked my dad, I'm like, Dad, please, can we finalize when it comes to the video? Because, I just want, to have a proper video for our mother's burial. And he said, no, I've sorted that out. One of my cousins' daughter's husband has got a camera. I'm like, but Dad, we don't want like a camera that is someone that just has a camera. We need something that is going to be professional. And when I tell you guys that my father stopped the car in Twendo, stopped the car and said, get out of my car. Everyone should get out of his car. Now, mind you guys, my uncle never commented on anything. He was quiet. He was sitting on the front seat. I was sitting at the back. My sisters were sitting at the back with me. They never said anything. Nobody said anything. So even if he felt like he wanted to kick someone out of his precious Mercedes Benz, right? He could have kicked me out. But what do they have to do with it, And then after that, he kicks all of us out. When we stood out, he rolled his window down and he said, you will see what you do with your mother's corpse. And he drove off. I remember, guys, I had not really cried like that about my mother's passing up until that time. And I remember just sitting down. At this point, my baby sister is holding me on this side. My other baby sister is holding me at this side. And I am just breaking. I was crying to a point where there was a woman that was passing. And she saw how much I didn't even care that people are looking at me. And she asked, like, okay, why is she crying so much? Then my youngest sister starts crying, explains our father left us, our we don't have any money. Because remember, throughout this whole time, we were traveling with my dad, right? And they told her the story of what's going on. And I remember that woman, she gave my sister 100 rands. And she said, go buy her water. And I think she said, keep the change so that we could be able to like catch a taxi and go back home. And she walked away crying. I was just crying. I have looked for that woman, and I've heard that she stays in a village called Chauru, which is close to our village. That's just a coincidence, I guess. But one day, I don't even want to lie, I will locate her household. And if ever you are that woman and you're watching this video, please, please, please contact me, because I am definitely looking for you. I really just want to thank that woman, because she really didn't have to do that, But anyway, we now call home to say this is what happened. I just remember talking and my aunt's voice was distraught. Everyone was just concerned over, please we should not let my grandmother know, because nobody wanted to stress her more. This is someone that lost her daughter. Her grandkids are in Thando being abused by their father, and my uncle was also there. And mind you guys, like my uncle, when we were all traveling, we didn't have money. Not because we don't have money, but we were not holding money because there was no need for that. We're traveling with my dad. We're doing everything in pertaining to the burial of my mom, right? So I remember at home when people heard of all this, I think one of the uncles or the uncles, I can't remember, literally my father had to be called and begged, from what I hear, to go back to his kids. And he came back hours later, and he found us exactly where we were. He just opened his window and he gave us 3,000 rands. So the 3,000 rands was supposed to buy our clothes and my mother's clothes. So, we remember just saying, okay, we bought my mother clothes. We were young, guys. We didn't even know. I remember literally just having to be strong for my sisters because I'm like, you're the firstborn, there's nothing that you can do. And I remember just saying they should choose. So we went to the shops that my mom loved. She used to love me ladies so much. So we went there, and I know there are people that, they get laid to rest with their clothes that they have worn before. But with us, I don't know. At that time, we just felt like, oh, she had to go with new clothes. I don't know why, But as much as we were buying, we were literally trying to buy the style that she used to love. So we went and we spent a lot of money on my mother's clothing. We even bought shoes, guys. That's how young we were to not know that someone that is late, they do not wear shoes because their legs, obviously, I think they can't fit or something. So my aunt, that's when she said, no, my children, you should have just bought socks. And because that was Thursday, on Friday, that's when we bought socks for her. But then we went on and we bought clothes for ourselves, and that was that. Was it a conversation that was ever had? No. The family knew literally that this man told us we will see what to do with our mother's corpse, simply because I was asking that we get a video of my mother's funeral, which he claimed that his cousin's daughter's husband has a camera. Now, it is 2024. My mother passed 2013. We're still waiting for that video, Galok. We're still waiting. I'm sure it's coming. Because he as a father, I don't believe that you can literally gamble with something that important to your kids. Something that your kids asked you for. I don't think you can. So I believe that somehow there must be a video that is coming, because that video, guys, never came. Even till today, we do not have the burial video of our mother. And I don't care if someone out there feels like that's not important to them. It was very important to us, to a point of even us discussing by ourselves and having me as the firstborn go ask my dad, because it was important to us. But guess what, guys? We do not have it. We do not have it. The same cousin recently passed away, which is very unfortunate. But if you see the video of her funeral, even weddings don't have the quality that they have. They do not have. The quality, forget about it. So at least they have something. We have nothing of our mother's funeral because of him. And if this person, but other than that, guys, there's another thing that is very, very deep that he had done. And he would just say, I won't bury her. Literally. Or, you will see what to do with your mother's corpse. Basically around that. So with the funeral, everybody was just also very much walking on eggshells, because first of all, we all were begging Galoku for our mother's corpse to be buried. At such a young age, that's so unfortunate. But we had to literally deal with that. And I remember just being so heartbroken. Guys, I could not understand. How can you be so mean? How can you be so heartless as a person? You can see we just lost our mother. Life is already difficult for us. We stay, guys, in a yard that had how many people? I can't even count. Everybody has their mothers there. We lost our mother. Do you not get that? That you're our only parent left now. And literally, my father was the biggest nightmare of my mother's passing, like for me. I feel like had it been that he was just removed from the equation, the pain and everything that we went through would have been a lot better than him having been in there, because every turn I felt he was just making it so difficult. So difficult, you know. So basically, obviously, that happens. My mom passed on 23rd of August, the 23rd of October. That is Ryan's mom's birthday. And also, from what I hear, that's also the day that Ryan was conceived, you know. We were all dealing with the loss of our mom, and we were dealing with it in different ways. I feel like Ray's mom did suffer a bigger blow than all of us, because the Thursday that my mom was admitted, she was writing exam on Friday. So she wasn't staying home at that time, and I was the one that was like, since she's writing tomorrow, please, we should not tell her that our mom is at the hospital. I will go fetch her, because remember, I was driving at that time. I'll go fetch her on Friday after she rides, and I'll take her to the hospital so that we see our mom. Now, unfortunately, she passed Friday early morning, so she never got to say goodbye to our mom. She never got to see our mom in the hospital. And she has struggled with that a lot. I somehow have blamed myself, because if not for me, then, you know, she would have also had the same opportunity to could have said goodbye to our mom, you know. And so it was, yeah, it was a very difficult time for all of us, and I would go ahead and say it was a very big blow for her as well, you know, because even when we would talk, she would say, at least you guys got to see her. I didn't, you know. I don't want to be doing this. Sorry guys, let me just sort myself out. Sorry for that. But yeah, you know, so that was when Ray was conceived, from what I hear. And fast forward, the results came back, I think, and you know, she had not passed. So she now had to you know, we now had to find, okay, what is the next step? Because at that time when she was writing, she was actually repeating matric. Unfortunately, the results came back and she did not pass. The timeline is also just a bit, you know, because I was going through a lot, guys. Bendigo. But I do remember that I asked my dad, and I was like, hey, you know, maybe she can come to Joburg and we can get a school for her that she can upgrade this side. And I remember there was a time that we had been told there are schools that you can upgrade your matric for in 6 months. And I remember, guys, this was like years ago, you know. And so I spoke to my dad, and he was like, okay, that is fine, you know. So we had to now come back to Gauteng. When we were coming back to Gauteng, guys, my father did not give me and my ex 1 rand. He knows we're going with his daughter. Like, okay, we're coming back with 1 car. That's fine. We wouldn't say like pay for transportation. But what did he expect his child to go eat? He did not give us 1 rand, guys, to help with the transportation of going out there to look for a school with her. So again, coming back this side, we still had to suffer with my father's child. You know, Agazingeni Shem, he did not even give 1 rand. So I remember when he came this side, we looked for a school, and then we were not getting one that would upgrade in 6 months. So we then came this side, and we had to see what to do. Again, I had to call him to tell him, hey, we did not get a school that is 6 months, so it's only a year. And he was like, well, if that is the case, then she would rather come home and upgrade, because the schools back home, they were upgrading for a year as well. Sorry. So I was like, okay, that is fine. Now, that was the time that I then found out that my sister was pregnant. So, no, the time that we came back with her, I think it was December, January, or somewhere there. And then that was when I told him, this person is pregnant, Now, when obviously I told my dad and we were finding out, she was already months. Again, as I'm saying, she said that Ray was conceived in October. So there's November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Ryan was born on the 10th of July. That's 9 months. So when I told him, he was like, yo, and I had just gone, I was about to pay. There was a queue or something happened, or they said that he was last and whatever to pay for that school. So he was like relieved sort of that I did not get to pay my money, for his child to go to school because she's pregnant. I'm like, okay, Then from there, they started like, guys, I'm gonna like skip through some parts, but there were so many fights. He said at first, no, don't bring her home. Just stay with her for now as I figure out what I'm going to do. But that staying of his child with me, Utata Kaloku does not even send 1 cent. And then after that, when she was like now far along, he asked me, he was like, okay, who is this family that obviously the guy is from that impregnated her? Guys, I did not hide anything from that man. I told him everything. I asked my sister and everything, and they went to the house of that guy. And I remember coming back, there are certain things that he said that I just won't publicly say. And then that was when they were like, well, she has to be brought back so that she can go and get married there. Now, remember, guys, now I was not taken to school by my father because of the SIM card, 25,000 rands, right? That his brother's daughter called with, not even me. I understand. I will take responsibility of the fact that I'm the one that took it out of the house. But I was not the one that made the calls. So that for him was reason enough to punish me for the rest of my life in the future, to say he's not even going to take me to school. Now, this time, he can't take my younger sister to school because she's pregnant, right? So, I mean, at this point, there are other stuff that have happened that I'm just not going to say because I'm going to keep this story strictly me and my baby sisters. That I was like, no, man. But obviously, I understand, like, okay, there are reasons and whatever. But first of all, it's not like he was sending money even when she was here, like, to be like a father that is responsible for his kids. So I'm now asking, okay, fine, guys, you're saying that she's going to get married. When she gets married, it means when she arrives there, she has to be a wife. And a wife, what does a wife do? It means they continue, look. And this brings babies, more babies. So can we talk about her future at least, Okay, she's going there. Is someone going to be also taking her to school, even though, And no, nobody was talking anything about taking her to school. No one was talking about anything. And I really just felt like, okay, I understand she's pregnant. I understand, it's something that was not expected. I also didn't expect it. I was also, like shocked at that time, especially looking at everything that we were going through, losing our mom, being left with a parent that just really, I don't even know if I should say does not care or acted like he does not care. So there was a lot going on. And of course, as the firstborn, I have to ask questions, And so basically me asking those questions, he started saying that, nah, I did not want with my mother's child, so he's gonna be out. Okay. There was a day that I was like, okay, you know what? They had said she should come back on this day. I said, okay. That day when we were walking through the mall, because she was also very stressed, guys. Ugel falls. We go to the clinic, rush. When we get there, Ugel's BP is very high. And so they're asking, is there something stressing her? I'm like, I don't know. I think it's because she has to go to Venda tomorrow, whatever. And guys, we were poor at that time. We did not have money, literally. I also did not have money. Like when my father is saying that my sister should come back, it's not like he's sending money for her to come back. No, I should still be the one to hustle and see where that money is going to come from, So I call him and I'm like, listen, your child fell today, and you're saying she should come tomorrow. I don't have money to transport me and her. So basically what I'm gonna do is that she's gonna get in the bus tomorrow. I'm just letting you know that her BP was high. So if anything happens, at least her father knows. He then tells me to say, that is you not wanting with your mother's child. Don't bring her here. If she comes back here, I'm going to give her money and she's going to come back there and it's going to be over between us. That's always his threats. Always his threats. Like, he does not care really about you or having any relationship with you. Like, you know, you can just vamos and I'm fine with that. He's very good on threats. Now, obviously, at that time, I knew he's being serious because I know him. And I was like, okay, let me just wait at least to get money so that I can go to Venda with her. And which is something that I did, guys. As much as we did not have money, I tried to get that money, I think a week or two later. Because I remember I called one of the uncles and he said, no, just come back with her. We will talk when we get home. One of the biggest mistakes because now, but the uncles, they will not give you one rent, Kaluk. Okay. I hustled the money. I go back home. When I get home, there's a family meeting. And my father is sitting there like, I don't know why they are here. Because I told her that she should not come here. And if she comes here, it will be the end. Hey, blah, blah, blah. That was also after that, we were told that we need to vamos. And he said that does not want to see my sister. And I also should not come back because I guess I defiled him by coming back with my sister that he had been wanting, right? Now, what did my uncle say in that meeting? I can't remember because it wasn't anything that was a solution. You know, there was no solution that came from that. And even though I was told to come back with her, I still had to be the one to hustle money to come back to Joburg because my father did not give me one rent and my uncles did not give me one rent. So I had to, again, suffer and hustle. I remember literally, I think I even had to borrow. I can't remember from who. And then came back this side. And after that, that was it. There was no communication at all. He wouldn't call. We also wouldn't call because now at this point, I'm also scared. And mind you guys, all this is happening and I'm still 23 years old. Like all this is happening. It's not even a year since our mother passed. Now, after that, you know, the day that my baby was born, and that was in July, I did tell my sister to say, call your dad, you know, here's a phone, call your dad, tell him that you have a baby boy now, you know. She did as much as, you know, because again, as I'm saying, to tell you that I have begged, it upsets me so much. For a relationship with this old man, I have begged literally, you know. And she did, and he said, okay. Now, okay, that's fine. I guess maybe he was so upset that she fell pregnant. Did he ever call back to check up on the baby after he was told? No, he didn't. The next thing that he did was he had to start a new fight. Now, the new fight was coming by. Me and my sisters were in Gauteng. As we're in Gauteng, obviously the baby's this side. Now, schools obviously closed. I think it was September time, if I'm not mistaken. And my sister was my youngest sister that was still staying at home. Went to my dad and said, Dad, can I please go see the baby? And he told my sister that you have to choose between me and your sisters. Now, mind you guys, as I have said, my mother is late. Her mother's kids are in Joburg. She's not allowed to come see us. So he said she should choose. If she leaves to go see us and the baby or to go see the baby, then she should know that she will be gone for good. And there were certain things that were happening, man, that I'm not going to talk about. And I remember my baby sister calling, crying. Now, mind you guys, she was still underage. Calling, crying, like, I don't know what to do, this and that and that. And she was also just mentally exhausted, guys. I told her, you know what? Come. I think I did send her money and I said, come, we'll sort it out later. And then she did. When she came, when she left, she was now forced to have to go to my aunt's home. And she was kicked out of my father's house. In less than a year of our mother passing, my father had already kicked all three of us out of his house. Now, this time, he neglected his children for almost 5 years. My father did not know what my sisters were eating. My father did not know what my sisters were wearing. I remember there was a time that my aunt called him, begging him to say, can you please just send money to buy her a jersey? Because where she was going to school was too cold and she did not have a jersey, and he refused. His words were, go wherever you can go. And I remember telling my aunt, can't we just go to maintenance? He was still working at this time. He was still a principal. Meanwhile, within these 5 years, there's a child that does not have a mother, I think, that does not have a father. Her father passed away, and her mother, I think she was just married somewhere, that he was taking to school, and that was village knowledge. Mr. Help the poor when your own children are going to school with no shoes, with no jersey. It pisses me so much. I literally despise who that man is. My sisters went through everything. I remember going to my aunt and I was telling her, listen, we want to go to maintenance court. Let's take him to maintenance court. And my aunt refused. She said no. And, she just wanted to maintain peace within the family. And I just, for the life of me, could not understand. Why can't we just take him to court? She's underage. He's working. She does not have a jersey. This child literally suffered so much because of my father. And what is my father doing at this time? He continues to buy cars, honey. His status is going up. He's out there building ShopRite, honey. Okay? Meanwhile, his kids are sleeping, having eaten pap and water. What did my father's family do? Nothing. He has brothers. Nothing. Nobody could sit him down and say, listen, the abuse you're doing to these kids, it really isn't fair. Okay, I understand. Ray's mom, she was pregnant. Okay, you didn't want her in the house. But how are you going to kick out an underage child who just lost her mother simply because she wants to see her sisters? Does that make sense? I remember when I shared this story on Para FM, because I did. The child that he was taken to school, she came into my DMs and she said, I am so sorry. I did not know that when your father was taking me to school, he wasn't taking care of you guys. If I knew, I don't know, but I just wish I knew. I did not know. I think she felt guilty of he couldn't support his kids, but he was able to take her to school. But she actually does not understand, and I understand why he did that. He does not get praises for taking his own kid to school because that is his responsibility as a parent. Personally, I think there's a lot of stuff that are done so that people are going to look at a person at a certain image. That's why they can help strangers, but not their own kids, And that's just on me. Now, obviously at that time, my sisters were stayed with my aunt for almost 5 years, up until the time that my ex-husband had to go and pay lobola. So now money is involved. Now he has to receive money. So guess what? That was when now we were accepted to come back home so that he can get that money. Now, that will be a continuation of tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the lobola and getting there. And remember, I'm not saying everything, but I'm trying to actually give you guys an idea of who he has been for us to get to a point where today we are in court, okay? And we are going to get there. So this whole week, it's going to be a video every morning so that the story just goes on to continue and for you guys to actually understand. Do I feel like there are also other parts where I'm venting? 1,000% yes. This is trauma that I've been living with. I've been so depressed these past weeks because of what is happening with the court. And I felt like if I just started to come here and not give you guys a background, a lot of you guys will not understand. So, yeah, I do hope that I'm going to see you guys tomorrow for part 3. From Owamie, I love you guys. Do not forget to subscribe and obviously like. And I will see you guys in my next upload. Bye, ninjas.